So, exercise 6, I've got a whole bunch of little things to do, but they're all with the pen tool. How do I do that? Let's go take a look. I'm sharing my screen with y'all. We're going to look first at the exercise. Letter size page, 8.5 by 11. Pen tool to draw a heart filled with red. Blue cloud with a stroke. Green shamrock with a stroke. Nike logo. And then another shape of my choice. How nice is my teacher to let me choose a shape? Anyway, let's go take a look at Illustrator now and see whether we can't figure out how to do some of that stuff. I'm in, oh my God, look at that thing. That's crazy. How do you even think about stuff like that? I'm not going to bother with that one right now. We're going to go to print and look at letter size, which it's in points. Not very helpful. But if I look at it in inches, it says it's 8.5 by 11. Exactly what that is. We talked a little bit about bleed. I don't need bleed on this one, but you know how it is. If I want my ink to run beyond the edges of my page, I would add 1/8 of an inch bleed to my page. We're working in CMYK color. We could work in RGB, as you know, but that's fine. And what I'm going to do is create that and then start building my pieces. So what I want to do is make the red heart with a fill or no stroke. So I can draw half of the heart. Hearts, as you know, the typical little icon is bilaterally symmetrical, same on both sides. So I'm going to just put a click there, click to get a corner point, click and drag to get a curve point. So click once to make that center point, and then click and drag to make that top little shoulder of the heart, right? And maybe I'll put another one out here so I get kind of that effect. You could hold down Shift and force your handles to be directly straight up and down. Why would you do that? If you notice that when you draw a circle with the tools that you get inside Illustrator, that the handles are straight out. So like that. So basically what that's telling you is that in order to get that kind of perfect circle feel, you might want to draw it that way. Another way to do it is this way. You could say, I'm going to start with a circle and then cut it down. So I could take this circle tool, draw, I'm holding down Option to draw from the center and Shift to make it a perfect circle. If I don't hold down Shift, I get an ellipse. If I don't hold down Option, I draw from the corner, but I want to draw from the center. So, and of course, as you know, it's if I'm holding down Option and you have a PC, it's Alt. So what I could do is take that shape and say, okay, that's my top of my heart right there. I don't want this bottom stuff. There's a scissors tool, lives under the eraser right there. And I can use that to go snippety snippety and chop that. One thing I'm doing is I keep popping down on my Command key, Control on a PC, to switch my tools. I've got my scissors tool right now, but if I hold down my Command key, it switches to the direct selection tool, that one. And if I click on that, I hit delete once, it throws away the segment that I had. I hit delete again, it throws away the rest of that thing. Now I can go back to my heart and my pen tool. I have to go back to this place that I started drawing, back to the leftover point that's just hanging there, and drag that handle out again. And then I can come back over here. Now, notice that pink line that just popped in there? Or magenta, isn't it? It's not really pink. What that is, it's called Smart Guides. So if you turn on Smart Guides, it will tell you interesting things like the point that you're about to put in is directly below the point that you've already got. That's a helpful thing. I want that. And I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to pull up again with my Shift turned on. So now I've got a really nice swoopy side to my heart. Okay. And if I don't like it, I can always go back, hold down my Command key to get back to my tools and go, I want the side of that to be a little longer and smoother like that. So you got tons of control to go back in and fix the way that your points work, the handles work, the way everything works. But let's say you're finally happy. I'm going to use my selection tool because now I want to edit this entire object. I don't want to move handles and points. I want to move the entire thing. In fact, I'm going to flip it. So then I go back over to my tools here, rotate and reflect live right together right there. So there's my reflect tool. And if I grab that reflect tool and hold it right under the place where I want it to flip, I could flip it here, 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 here. But if I flip it right there on that point, I can know that it's going to match up. It's going to match up side to side. In order to get to that menu, I've got to hold down my Option key on a Mac keyboard, Alt on a PC. Click there, and it says you want to flip that on a vertical axis. I do. Think about the axis in the middle of that heart. It's vertical. And I want a copy of that. Bink. Look how lovely that is. And now what I want to do, instead of having two paths, I want one path. As you can see, I've got a path there and a path there. I want one path. So I'm going to get my direct selection tool that lets me grab points and handles and just roll over, whoopee cushion. I'm going to roll over those two. So you see what I've got. These two are lit up. You know there's 2 points there, even though it looks like one. Those guys are not lit up. They're not selected, but it knows that they're part of the same path. So once I've got those two selected, I go to Object, Path, Join Me. Oh, they're joined. So now I've got, when I click on it, the whole thing lights up because it's all one object. Perfect. Now what I want to do is get into my swatches menu. I'm going to pull that over here. My fill is right here. My stroke is right here. So for the fill, I want a red color. And for the stroke, I want nuttin', honey. So there I go. So there's my red heart filled or with no stroke on it. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to carry on fairly quickly because I don't want this video to be too long. We're supposed to draw a blue cloud with a 10-point orange stroke. So I might just get my ellipse tool, lives right there under the rectangle, lots of other toys underneath there, but I kind of want that puffy cloud look, right? With a rectangle, I'm going to draw square clouds. Yeah, exactly. That'll be lovely. Relapse tool. There you go. And what I can do is if I hold down the Option key, again, I get draw from the center. And if I hold down the Shift key, I get draw perfect circles. So I could just go floopity floop like that and draw a few things that I think are going to be kind of cool. And then what I might do is get to the point where I'm happy. Grab that one and move it around. I'm just holding down the Command key to get another tool that I can grab. So it gives me the direct select or the selection tool. So I can grab these things and move them around and get to the point where it feels kind of like a cloud. Okay, so let's say I'm happy. I'm going to grab all that stuff. I drag my selection rectangle over that whole thing. You'll notice I got part of my heart. I don't want the heart. So I'm going to hold down my Command key to get my selection tool and then hold down my Shift key to deselect the heart. Click once to get the whole thing. Click once to say, not you, you. Now all I've got are my circles to make up my cloud. And I go to my Shape Builder tool, lives right there. So now it says, oh, you want to put this together? Well, I do. So everything I roll over like that, it's going to put it into one big fat path. Perfect. Just like that. So now if I look at this in outline mode, Command Y, Control Y on a PC, I can see that my structure is really good, that I've got a clean path with just a cloud shape. None of the circles are still there. So perfect. Now what I can do is come back to my fill and say blue cloud. Baloo. Hello, blue cloud. I have to go back, get out of the shape builder tool because the shape builder is like, you want to change a bunch of stuff about that. I don't anymore. I'm done with that. Thank you so much for everything though. It was awesome. And get to my stroke menu and say orange stroke, and it's supposed to be 10 point. I can do that here, 10 point, or I could get into a stroke menu that lives over here. You're not seeing it right now. I have to pull it up. Stroke down there. So don't have a stroke, man. Okay, so there's my blue cloud, there's my red heart. I'm supposed to make a green shamrock. I might make a green shamrock out of this. I'm holding down Command to get my selection tool. I'm holding down Option to say, give me another one of those. Duplicate that thing. And I'm holding down Shift to go straight up and down. So now I've got a heart shape down here that I'm going to fill with green. Whoop, I just changed the stroke. I'm going to go back to my menu up here. Change that to chartreuse. Whoa, that's a flaming shamrock. And then what I might do is just rotate that around. So I'll put that, maybe I'll put that there. And I'm going to get my rotate tool. As you know, it lives with the reflect tool right there. And go, I'm going to Option click right here underneath it because I want to spin from this spot right here. So there it says 90 degrees, yes, but clone me, duplicate me. And now object, transform, transform again, Command D. Do that again, do that again. Isn't that cool? So all of a sudden I've got that. And then I could grab that whole darn thing. It's a little bit big right now. I'm finding it just a little bit. So I might scale that whole thing. I'm holding down the Command key to get my selection tool and my move tool and my rotate tool. Look how cool that is. So there's my shamrock, and then I could come in and say I want to make a lovely path. This would be a good place to use the curve tool. I want the shape to be curved for this. The reason I'm using the pen tool rather than the curve tool is because I can draw curves with this tool, with the pen tool. I can't draw corners with the curve tool. I want to be able to draw everything. I want everything, but this would be a good place to draw a curve tool. So I'm going to put one maybe here, and then there, and then there. Why are you doing that? I hate when you do that. Here, I'll do it the other way. So I can come up here and connect that line there. I'm having a hard time here, aren't I? Maybe I'll go back to my favorite pen tool since that's what I really like. I'm using the Option key to turn it into the anchor point tool. I'm covering a lot of territory here, so sorry if you're getting a little bit behind. Under this tool, you'll notice there's an anchor point tool, which says, how would you like to edit that anchor point? Would you like to pull some handles out of there? You can. So I've got my pen tool, but if I hold down Option or Alt on a PC, I get the anchor point tool, and I can do that to it. And then come back up here and I'm going to switch back into preview mode. Like that layer. And then, so there's my stem, and I can, mess around with this some more and play with the way that that works. So there are lots of things that you can do to get a stem in there. It's pretty rotten, but anyway. Okay, the last thing I want to show you quickly is the Nike logo, how to get that in here. So we're going to do a place on that. Place Nike PNG. You got it in week 6 as an objet. I'm going to drag when I drop this in here because it'll give it to me in the right size. And in my layers menu, I want to make that a new layer. I want to move that back and make it a template layer and say, okay. I might even dim the images to 20%. Okay. So that is now going to go down here. Now here's one of the dumber things about Illustrator. When I placed this Nike logo, we only had layer 1, so it put it on layer 1. I want that logo to be down here on layer 2. Here's how you do it. See that little blue button right there? That tells me what I've selected. So if I grab this red heart, there's a blue button here that says you've got the red heart. If I grab the blue cloud, you got the blue cloud. I want the Nike logo on layer 2, my template layer. So I'm going to grab that. First, I got to unlock that layer because it won't move otherwise. Grab that blue dot, pull it down, snap. So now what I've got is that on its own layer, and this is the best part. I can switch back and forth between outline and preview and see that. Command Y, Control Y to see what's going on in your construction. Okay, so now that you can see that logo, I can switch to outline mode because then I can draw and see my reference art at the same time. I'm going to just tap the Tab key to get out of there, get my pen tool, tap the Tab key so I can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to switch into layer 1, which is my drawing layer. Okay, ready? We're going to click once there. I'm going to click here and drag. I'm going to click here and drag along this line. It's straight along that edge. I don't care that it's wrong. I kind of like that it's wrong. I'm going to go back and fix it later. I want to click point there. And then I want to come along here, click and drag. Keep that back handle on the line. That makes this straight all the way back to that point. So it's straight here. But then up here, it's got a nice big fat belly. So I'm going to I'm going to drag along there until I'm kind of happy with how that looks. And then come up here and click to close that path. Close that path. Okay. Now the best part is I can just switch, tap down your control key or your command key, and all of a sudden you got your fix it tool, your direct selection tool that lets you change the way that the handles and the points work. So you can move them around. You can move them around all over the place, but you can choose exactly where they go and control exactly how they flow. So when you say, I am now a happy person with the way that this works, I'm going to get back in here and change the fill of that swatches to black and the stroke to nothing, and then switch back to preview mode, and I'm pretty happy with that. So hopefully that helps with exercise 5. I realize there's kind of a lot going on there, and I covered a lot of territory. Hopefully it's not too terrifying. Do your best. Send me a note on anything you get stuck with, and we will have like a Zoom or something. Okay? See you, friends.